Alright, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Uper Farmer Garage Cigar Talks. We're back in the garage, unfortunately, which is, I guess it didn't have to be. I thought it was going to rain tonight, but all of a sudden, as I got this all set up and another project here in the garage set up, the rain clouds suddenly disappeared, and it's now sunny outside. So we could have had the deck talks back, but oh well, live and learn. Anyhow, let's get on with tonight. What are we smoking? What are we drinking? We're going to start with that. For the cigar tonight, we have another Rocky Petal Edge. Interesting. This is their Edge, but it's a bit of a Maduro. Very dark wrapper. Nice cigar. I ordered, and I had in my mind, I was like, you know what? I am not going to get a dark cigar. I'm not going to get dark cigars. I want some Connecticut's now that summer's coming along. And lo and behold, I ended up getting a Maduro, a variety pack with a lot of darker cigars. I think there's one Connecticut in there. Oh well, it's a good cigar. I'm actually kind of liking the Rocky Petals. Might have to look into those ones a little bit more. For the drink tonight, from Muskegon's own Pigeon Hill Brewing Company, Michigan Irish Stout. Seemed interesting. Thought I'd pick her up, give her a try, see how this one is. Out of Muskegon, Michigan. Has some relatives actually not too far from Muskegon. Well, looks good. Good dark beer. Actually, pretty nice head on that one. Give her a try here. Not bad. Not bad. Actually, kind of lighter. Doesn't really stick with you. Doesn't really fill the stomach. That's almost like a light stout almost, if there is such a thing. Not bad. That's definitely drinkable. If I was at the bar having dinner, I would definitely order that up because that's not bad. That's tasty. For tonight, what are we going to talk about? Tonight we're going to talk about war stories. No, I never served. Get that off right now before someone calls me out for stolen valor. I was never in the military or in the armed forces. But in EMS, fire, law enforcement, we'll refer to what happens on the rig. We'll call them war stories. Now, be warned, I know this is another series. I like my series. I don't know why. I have the experimental series, which I'm about to drop the experimental because I'm kind of getting a good rhythm, a good rhyme going here, feeling pretty good with these. So I think we're going to drop the experimental soon. And then we have the Land of the Dead series, which is that short film series. A lot of fun. Really enjoying it. Getting some good feedback from people watching the Land of the Dead series. So really having a good time with that one. But I want to start a war story series. Now I do have to explain some stuff. First off, war stories are what happens in the field. What happens in the back of my rig. What happens at the station, even what happens during calls. Some are funny. Some are very serious. Some will make you cry. Some will gross the hell out of you. I'll answer the big questions you always ask. What's the funniest thing you ever seen on the ambulance? What's the scariest? What's the grossest? Everyone likes to ask those questions of EMS. It's kind of a staple. We all get the answers ready ahead of time before we go to social events and tell people we're EMS because everyone's going to ask those questions. And I'll probably even talk about how the controversy behind that. I don't mind if someone comes up and asks me, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Chances are I might answer you. You might not like it. You might be surprised. You might be like, really? That was it, huh? Okay, we'll talk about that one in a future episode here. But let's talk about the taboo of war stories even. In many places I've been, war stories are a way of life. They're a way to deal with calls. They're a way to celebrate good calls, rationalize bad calls, bring up teachable moments. But truthfully, they thread a very, 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 very fine line between HIPAA violation and non-HIPAA violation. If you don't know, HIPAA is the Health Information Availability and Portability Act. I believe I said that right. HIPAA, I think I missed an A. Accountability, portability. Anyhow, it's basically the law that says doctors can't come out, medical professionals can't come out and say, hey, do you want to know what Tom's got? You know, Tom's dying of cancer. He came in for his third round of STD treatment. We can't say stuff like that. That's not allowed. But it allows us to share stories and information if we de-identify them. Now, the risk is, what happens if we share a story and someone's able to guess? I know who that's about. Well, that's technically a HIPAA violation. So, how do I share my stories without having some lawyer come down upon me? Honestly, it's by being truthful about what they are and what they are not, and how I'm going to use them and how I'm not. First off, I've worked in many places across the United States, and internationally too. Some of my stories will be my international stories. So it's a good chance. I don't tell the location. I'm not going to say, well, I was here or there. For most of the stories, a couple I will, because they're universal. When you have a universal story, it applies to everyone, and it's everywhere. So one, some of these stories will be very universal. They happen all the time, happen to individuals. Some of them, of course, will be kind of hard to pinpoint where. Maybe someone in Texas can relate to this story. Well, I've never worked in Texas. Maybe someone, can relate in Michigan. Well, I haven't worked everywhere in Michigan. Maybe in some of the places I have worked, someone's like, hey, I know that story. Well, some of these stories happen multiple times, again, or it can be very relatable. They happen again and again and again. It's really hard to drill down who I'm actually talking about. Next, as one of the truths about EMS, we steal war stories. A bunch of providers out there are probably upset that I just admitted to the masses. All the time. We steal other people's war stories. We adapt other people's war stories to our own. We'll use them as teachable moments where we can teach from them. We'll use them as life lessons for rookies. Maybe we hear a good one and we're just like, ooh, I wish that would have happened to me. And why do we do that? One of the things I've always talked about is in EMS, I tell my students, when you listen to people tell war stories, remember they exaggerate because there isn't a lot of proof. Because of HIPAA, you can't find a lot of proof behind these stories. They'll exaggerate to make themselves feel better or make themselves look better. Maybe they had an absolute boring EMS career. They're just hoping to get a little good flair to it. So they embellish their stories. So know this. I'm going to share some stories. Some will be 100% factual, actually happened. Some will be exaggerated. Some might not even be my stories. Even some, maybe I just came up with it. That sounds good. I'm going to tell that one. Put this spin on it. So it's story hour. Some are based in reality, right? The movies you see there, based in reality, based on a true story. We exaggerated greatly and changed the details a lot, so it's not even close to the real story. Some of my war stories might be that. But I'm willing to put it out there, put these stories out there for life lessons. Life lessons, EMS lessons, they really need to be shared. They need to be out there. One, I'm using this again. It's kind of like my diary to kind of talk about what I've been through, what I'm thinking about, the stories I remember. Put them out there for all times and good posterity. Maybe my kids or former students will listen to these and be like, wow, huh, I never knew Dad did that, or thought that way, or talked that way, or experienced that. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I think it's important. I think it's very important to share these stories, to share the experience of being an EMS, to being a public servant. I've shared one already about the prisoner who talked, gave me some life lessons about why he deals in drugs. There'll be more like that have meanings, have purpose, have stories behind them. I do hope you enjoy them. Again, a lot of them will have messages. A lot of them will have good lessons learned. A vast majority of them will be hilariously funny. But I don't know. There'll be something we can share. Like we do in EMS. We share these stories with each other. We can tell when people are being kind of full of it, but we don't always call them out. Sometimes we do. One of the funniest incidents I had, I was involved in an ambulance accident. I was personally there. Don't know if you know this. To be in an accident, you personally have to be there. Within the next 2 weeks, I had 3 other people telling my story, my accident story. One of them even told it to me. Was telling me how the accident went down, how it happened, because he has firsthand knowledge. I, of course, had to laugh a little bit internally how he could have firsthand knowledge when it firsthand happened to me. But he knew better. He had the police reports. He didn't. I had the police reports. Oh, I knew a guy who was there. Oh, yeah, who was that? Oh, well, I didn't tell you. Who else was on that call? Well, I don't want to share names. Well, I was there. But most of the time we just enjoy hearing the stories, telling the stories, getting them out there for everyone to enjoy and learn from them. So that's kind of my hope, my plan. Share some quick stories in the War Stories series with you fine people out there. So maybe you can learn from them, take something away from them. Nothing else, enjoy a good story. As you may have told from the Land of the Dead series, I love telling good stories. I love telling stories. I shouldn't say they're good. But they're stories, and they're mine, and I enjoy them. And that's why I like doing this. Getting out there for me, relaxing in my garage, shooting the shit, drinking a beer, smoking a good cigar, telling a good story. Anyway, I don't know if it's just summer or what, but I'm going to keep this one short. I'm sure many of you would be very happy since most of the time these go very, very long. We'll kind of leave you here. So hopefully you're looking forward to hearing some good EMS stories, learning some lessons from them. If not, I'm going to share them anyway. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.